We see some bones just kind of sticking out of the cliff, and then I turned to Brian and I'm like, what do you think this is? And it turns out that it was something really cool.
The Grand Canyon, one of the most beautiful landscapes in the world, has concealed shocking secrets deep within its ancient rock layers for decades. But everything changed when a group of adventurous explorers strayed from the usual paths, following faint clues of something extraordinary. What they found would revolutionize our understanding of life on Earth and question what we thought we knew. What is this anomaly at the edge of this iconic natural wonder? Join us on this historic revelation of shocking discoveries from the Great Grand Canyon. The basement of history reveals its secrets. The Grand Canyon is one mighty, impressive natural wonder. Those stratified bands of red rock stretching for miles make for some seriously jaw-dropping views. But beyond its stunning views, this geological gem has even more incredible secrets buried deep within its ancient layers. According to geologist Alan Krill, he was hiking along the Bright Angel Trail in Grand Canyon National Park when something caught his keen eye. A weird rock had tumbled down from one of the towering cliffs, revealing some weird markings that looked like awful footprints. Being the curious sort, Krill snapped some pictures of the bizarre rock and sent them off to his paleontologist friend, Stephen Rowland, at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. This man is well experienced in digging up fossils and old butchering sites. After scrutinizing the photos, Rowland dropped a bombshell. Those carvings were fossilized footprints, potentially over 313 million years old, making them the oldest vertebrate tracks ever uncovered in the Grand Canyon's backyard. But the ancient mystery only deepened from there. Rowland deduced that the prints seemed to depict two separate reptilian animals, with one looking like a serious speed racer compared to its slower mate. Were they different dinos or the same scaly fellow at different points in time? The discovery painted a wild picture. Hard-shelled, egg-laying creatures roaming across long-gone sandy dunes in the region, leaving their marks for millions of years until their fossilized impressions were dramatically uncovered. Now, only some were interested in Rowland's findings. Mark Nebel, a paleontology program manager at the Grand Canyon, said there was a fair amount of scientific beef about interpreting those weird prints and pinpointing the rock's age. Fair enough. It's pretty much impossible to say what made them. Still, you've got to hand it to Krill for spotting something so easy to miss that turned out to be such an earth-shattering discovery. Who knows how many other prehistoric gems are tucked away in the canyon's rocky nooks and crannies? What if doctors could simply take organs from animals and put them in humans? A far-fetched idea that recently became a reality in a groundbreaking surgery. Let's find out how. A mind-blowing medical breakthrough. Can you imagine a day when people won't have to wait years for a life-saving organ transplant? When can doctors simply take an organ from a pig and plop it right into a human body? That far-fetched idea became reality in January 2022 when a team of maverick surgeons at the University of Maryland Medical Center pulled off a true miracle. They xenotransplanted a genetically modified pig's heart into a 57-year-old man named David Bennett, who was battling terminal heart disease. Yeah, you heard that right. They took a heart from a pig and stuck it in a human's chest cavity. That's wild. And it's probably really gross too. But just hold on for a second, and let's walk you through this mind-bending medical journey. For decades, scientists have been trying to figure out how to take animal organs and make them compatible for human transplantation. The big issue? Our bodies tend to reject foreign organs and go into full-on attack mode violently. But these geniuses from Maryland found a clever workaround. They used cutting-edge gene editing tools to modify a pig's DNA, snipping out the code that causes rejection. Essentially, they hacked the pig's biological operating system to make its organs human, compatible. So when David's health took a dire turn and he had no other options left, the doctors got permission to throw a Hail Mary pass with this experimental xeno procedure. And just like that, David went under the knife in a groundbreaking 8-hour surgery. The team had to crack open his chest, cut out his terminally diseased heart, and plumb in the Nova pig ticker using a machine called the HeartMate to get it beating. When David finally came through after the operation, you bet he was tripped out, knowing he had a pig's heart feverishly pumping away in his body. But sure enough, tests confirmed the foreign organ was working perfectly, and David's life had been extended. For the next few weeks, the world watched with bated breath as David recovered, his pig heart valiantly doing its job. Sadly, after a courageous 2-month fight, his body eventually started rejecting the organ, and he passed away. But his story had already made history. This miraculous surgery showed that xenotransplantation could actually save human lives. The Maryland team had opened a whole new frontier of medicine. Just imagine the possibilities if we can reliably take kidneys, lungs, livers, and other organs from pigs, cows, or any animal and re-engineer them to be transplant-ready for humans. We could drastically cut those crazy, long waiting lists that tragically leave so many people dying before an organ becomes available. Of course, there are still huge ethical concerns surrounding the idea of modifying animals to grow human organs. Is it moral and just to genetically engineer livestock to become organ farms for our benefit? Many would argue it's taking science too far and playing God in a sense. Raising pigs and cows solely for their organs could open a whole can of worms when it comes to animal cruelty and rights issues as well. Then again, if it has the potential to save millions of human lives down the line, maybe that ethical cost is one we have to bear as a society. Historically, almost every major medical advancement has initially faced some form of moral opposition. The xenotransplantation genie is out of the bottle now, thanks to David Bennett's brave surgery. Researchers are doubling down to improve the procedures, increase survival rates, and bring these sci-fi animal organ transplants into the mainstream. Who knows? Maybe 20 years from now, getting a pig's kidney or liver will be as routine as gulping down a daily vitamin. Hospitals could have whole back rooms devoted to growing organs in gene-edited pigs, cows, baboons, and who knows what else. The futurist in us can't help but dream of the amazing life-saving potential here. However, the hippie tree-hugger side also worries about the ethical fallout of treating animals as living organ donors. Where do we distinguish between sound medical progress and unchecked scientific tinkering? The xenotransplant storyline proves just how mind-bendingly innovative modern medicine has become. We're not just inching forward with incremental baby steps, we're making revolutionary quantum leaps into uncharted territories of science. What else might be possible as researchers push the boundaries even further in the coming decades? Transplanting organs from cloned human embryos? 3D printing customized organs using our cells? Or maybe even perpetually kid-like bodies that remain eternally young thanks to some cellular regeneration breakthrough? I'll leave the wild speculation to the wunderkinder in the lab coats. I'm just infinitely grateful that pioneering procedures like David's xenotransplant have cracked the door open to life-saving organ solutions. At its core, isn't the mission of any brave new medicine to extend and enrich human life by any means possible? Even if that means pigs have to make the ultimate sacrifice and donate their organs. It's a small price to pay for keeping our fragile species alive and ticking for centuries to come. Imagine a strange dinosaur species that roamed the Earth 230 million years ago, recently uncovered by plucky paleontologists. Its jagged teeth and stumpy body will blow your mind. Keep watching. Resurrecting a dinosaur 230 million years after. You know what blows my mind? Fossils of these giant reptilian beasts that roamed the Earth eons ago are still being discovered today. Can you even fathom how extremely long 230 million years is? That's an incomprehensible amount of time separating us from when a newly uncovered dinosaur species nicknamed the Saurian Terrorizer was stomping around modern-day Zimbabwe. This bizarre little dinosaur fossil, found in 2017, is shattering paleontological records as the oldest dinosaur remains ever discovered on the African continent. From what we know about it so far, the Saurian Terrorizer, properly dubbed the Saurian Rathi, was one weird, funky-looking entity. It's like a puny dinosaur species, standing barely 3 feet tall at full height. It doesn't exactly conjure up the most terrifying mental image. But then, this freaky little fellow also had a long neck, almost like a miniature stumpy giraffe. To complete the strange look, it ran around on 2 bird-like legs and had a mouthful of jagged, zigzagged teeth that wouldn't have looked out of place in a slasher film. It was an unholy hybrid abomination roaming the harsh, alien terrains of what was, at the time, literally Pangaea, one enormous continent that contained all the major land masses we know today. For over 200 million years, the fossilized remains of this Bushman's revenge caliber monster lay entombed in an ancient Zimbabwe graveyard called the Zambezi Valley, undisturbed and preserved in near-fresh condition by chance, despite unthinkable eons passing by. That is, until a team of plucky paleontologists and researchers started poking around the valley back in 2017, stumbling across odd bone fragments that piqued their curiosity. These chunks of rock didn't match any dinosaur species in the books. Being the clever lot they are, these scientists quickly deduced that their discovery indicated an entirely new species was waiting to be revealed from the surrounding excavation site. But digging through compacted layers of sediment from the late Triassic period is about as fun as performing your root canal. For months, this ragtag crew toiled away tirelessly, brushing off literally tons of rock millimeter by agonizing millimeter. You can imagine their hands were worn raw like a lumberjack's tough mitts by the time they finally unearthed a near-complete skeleton lined up perfectly intact minus one leg. A fossil prize made all the labor 1,000% worth it. In 20 to 30 million years, who knows what other evolutionary wonders will be plucked from the depths of the earth to enlighten future generations. Maybe Africa's answer to the infamous T-Rex will be uncovered, fossilized in a dramatic death pose as if frozen mid-roar. Is plastic in our bloodstream? A shockingly well-preserved mammoth and the largest animal ever discovered? These wild discoveries will leave you stunned. Stay tuned to have your mind blown. Frozen mammoth, microplastics in our blood, and the biggest whale that ever existed. Have you just been going about your day as usual, sipping a bottle of water and munching on some food, blissfully ignorant of the bizarre discoveries happening around us? Well, let's ruin your innocence and blow your mind wide open. Let's start with microplastics. Tiny plastic particles that have been appearing everywhere in our environment, even at the highest peaks and deepest ocean canyons. You can't escape these little fellas, even if you try. Scientists recently discovered that these pesky microplastics have officially crossed the line and are inside our bodies now. That's right, inside of you and me. A shocking study found microplastic particles in the blood of nearly 80% of healthy people tested. Those flecks of plastic from packaging, bottles, bags, and virtually all consumer products are now literally coursing through your veins, mingling and intermingling with your blood cells and pulse in sync with every beat of your heart. Does that not thoroughly freak you out and make you want to jump into a decontamination shower? It skews someone out just thinking about microscopic plastic bits accumulating in my vital organs and tissues throughout my lifetime. But at least you're in good company with microplastics invading your body. Our species is so hopelessly addicted to plastic that it has now fully contaminated not just our environment, but our internal biology too. Let that be a lesson for future generations about kicking wasteful habits and finding more sustainable alternatives. Or else, a few centuries later, people might just be straight-up plastic-based life forms. At this rate, speaking of plastic's harmfully pervasive presence, let's move on to a disturbing discovery from the pristine Arctic tundra. We've now found more unwanted plastic particles and pollution. In 2022, gold miners in the Canadian Yukon uncovered the boggling, well-preserved remains of a baby woolly mammoth that instantly became the most complete mammoth discovery in North American fossil history. This poor baby mammoth, nicknamed Nuncho-A by local indigenous tribes, was determined to have perished over 30,000 years ago at the height of the Great Ice Age, when woolly mammoths and other megafauna still roamed the frozen Yukon region. Based on her remarkably undamaged body, Nuncho-A seemed to have gotten stuck in deep mud as a calf and succumbed to the elements, only to be entombed in a frosty crypt for millennia on end. That is, until those gold miners stumbled upon her remains in pristine condition, as if she had just perished a short time ago. With all her fur, skin and internal organs still intact, Nunchoa looked more like a modern elephant calf than the ancient specimen she was. Scientists are essentially using pioneering DNA analysis to reconstruct her entire genetic code and life story. Of course, the first question inquiring minds like us want to know about Nunchoa is, what does a 30,000-year-old mammoth snack taste like? Well, unfortunately, we'll never know, because thankfully, those miners didn't consume her remains or turn them into some freaky mammoth hot dog. However, they did find one other foreign and decidedly more modern substance on Nunchoa's frozen fur: plastic particles and microfibers from our plastic pollution nightmare. Even this ancient primordial creature couldn't escape the shame of our wasteful society's lasting legacy, as if finding microplastics contaminating both humans and long-extinct mammoths wasn't weird enough. How about the potential discovery of the largest animal that has ever existed in the entire history of life on Earth? I'm talking about a newly uncovered fossil of a giant whale species that would make even the mighty blue whale look like a puppy in comparison. This mega whale from the Paleocene era has been dubbed Peritus colossus. Based on the size of its fossilized vertebrae, paleontologists estimate it stretched a ridiculous 180 feet long and weighed an inexplicable 340 metric tons. Let that scale register properly for a second. The Peritus colossus would have been bigger than a Boeing 747 jet, heavier than 24 full-grown adult African elephants, and longer than an entire basketball court and a half. It would make the 30-meter blue whale look positively puny by comparison. It is impossible for our puny human minds to comprehend the enormity of this newly uncovered prehistoric sea creature. You can only imagine early seafaring cultures coming across the slumbering Peritus colossus, breaching the surface, and their abject terror at thinking they had awoken the entire Leviathan Islands. Sure, we've all heard tales of the giant megalodon shark that preyed on prehistoric whales, but a Peritus colossus would have made megalodon look like a mere remora fish in comparison. One would shudder to think what depths of the prehistoric ocean could have birthed an incomprehensibly massive creature. Then again, maybe the mythical tales of seafaring monsters like the Kraken originated with ancient mariners stumbling upon the terrifying remains of these defunct ultra whales untold generations ago. And who could have blamed them for thinking they had discovered the abominations of the deep when faced with such an impossibly gigantic skeletal beast? While the stuff of nightmares, the Peritus colossus also represents one of the most mind-boggling evolutionary mysteries of modern times. Just how did such a behemoth of an animal even exist and thrive in the first place? We live in a world where plastic has become so pervasive that it shows up in our bloodstreams and even contaminates creatures that lived tens of thousands of years before humans. Meanwhile, real-life creatures can grow to mythically colossal sizes, making our largest animals seem insignificant. Ancient marvels can be unearthed and brought back to life as if they were nothing. It's like we're in a bizarro world where human progress has advanced so much that it feels like we're living in the early stages of a science fiction story. This futuristic capability means the world is full of surprises and reminders of how wild nature can be. Our assumptions about the limits of life are constantly being reshaped and expanded in ways that would astonish our ancestors. Are you ready to enter the mind-bending twilight zone of modern discoveries? From resurrecting the dead to mapping the human genome, scientists are pushing boundaries once thought impossible. Welcome to the twilight zone of modern science. Sometimes, the truth is satanically more twisted and mind-bending than any science fiction writer could dream up. Case in point, crazy revelations have been pouring out of laboratories and expeditions worldwide in the past few years alone. These are singularity-level, perception-altering discoveries that really make you question whether we've somehow crossed an event horizon into the twilight zone of existence. Have our scientists finally opened the door to a bizarre, uncharted part of human discovery? Let's start easing into the shallow end with everyone's favorite creepy crawly, spiders. These are those eight-legged freaks of nature that 99.9% of people want to burn alive with a flamethrower when they see one. Even these spine-tingling pests experience dreamlike states that are shockingly similar to REM sleep cycles in humans. Those skittering, venom-injecting monstrosities curl up in their dens at night and start twitching their legs as their minds simulate vivid dreamscapes. The answers to this eternal question of what goes through the pitifully tiny brains of spiders. It turns out to be more than we ever realized. Since the dawn of time, people have wondered if the inner mental experiences of other species could resemble our own to some degree. These harrowing spider sleep studies seem to indicate at least some level of shared subconscious between us and our creepy eight-legged earthmates. Let's blow your mind for real by introducing you to Angustula atomaria and Angustula koisnaustreshi. These two newly discovered species aren't just the world's smallest known snails. They're practically microscopic. These are snail shells that measure a hair under 1 millimeter wide, beautifully larger than a grain of sand. To put that into perspective, these diminutive mollusks are so puny that thousands of them could fit inside the shell of a normal garden snail with room to spare. It makes you wonder what other unseen microscopic worlds and organisms we've been missing out on until we developed the right superpowered optics to reveal their hidden universes to us. Just thinking about a miniature ecosystem loaded with insanely puny snails is enough to make my head spin. But while those discoveries are really weird, they've got nothing on the mad scientists fearlessly toying with life and death itself nowadays. These are full-on Dr. Frankenstein-level shenanigans going down in the name of medical progress. Researchers have created the first synthetic model of a human embryo by coaxing stem cells to self-organize into the earliest life cycle stages. No eggs, no sperm are required, just an embryonic imitation grown from scratch in a lab dish. The first steps towards artificially creating human life with guidelines beyond our comprehension. To follow that disturbing revelation, another team of maverick God-complex scientists pulled the opposite maneuver. They managed to resurrect the cells and organs of a dead pig an hour after it kicked the bucket. They could restart the pig's cells and biological processes using futuristic machine technology, as if pushing a reset button on its corpse. Who gave scientists permission to start tinkering with the very boundaries of life and death as if they were mechanics under the hood of a busted Cadillac? Now they're growing humans from stem cells and pulling Lazarus's routines on dead pigs. If this line of research bears unimaginable fruit, these achievements could massively disrupt the very cycle of life as we know it in the coming century. Either that, or it opens a terrifying portal to the kind of mad science most of us assumed we'd never have to worry about outside of a classic Twilight Zone episode. Are we sure these researchers know what they're meddling with? Frankly, I'm more optimistic about NASA and other space agencies finally committing to developing planetary defense strategies against incoming asteroids and space objects after their proof-of-concept mission successfully altered an asteroid's trajectory last year. For perhaps the first time, we Earthlings know we can deflect civilization-ending rocky projectiles away from obliterating the planet if we spot them coming far enough out. Although, knowing our luck with poking existential beehives these days, we'll probably just awaken some ancient alien civilization slumbering on that asteroid we diverted. Then again, the true boundary-pushing discoveries happening right under our unsuspecting noses are perhaps even more staggering than artificially sparking life or resurrecting the dead. Take the recently captured image of the supermassive black hole lurking at the dark heart of our Milky Way galaxy. This is the first ever real glimpse of the unknowable abyss surrounding Sagittarius A+, the 4 million solar mass vortex of space-time warping forces around which our entire galaxy orbits. It is nothing short of a cosmic revelation. Quite literally, a curtain has been drawn back on one of the foundational frontiers of our theoretical physics comprehension. For the first time, we're capturing visual evidence that Einstein's physics model's most bizarre and brain-twisting implications are 100% real at the most fundamental levels of existence. Space truly does bend, twist, and distort into surreal cosmic deformations, like some sort of interdimensional cosmic horror. Let's talk about a groundbreaking genetic project that has achieved something monumental: fully sequencing the human genome for the first time. This means mapping out all 3 billion base pairs in our genetic blueprint without gaps or missing parts. This huge achievement has resulted from nearly 2 decades of hard work by scientists worldwide. It's like unlocking a treasure chest of knowledge about how our genes shape our growth and experiences. This complete genomic map is already changing our understanding of genetics. It helps us understand why certain genes behave the way they do when they're active or inactive in cell development, and how they influence different human traits. With this knowledge, we can now look for errors or areas that could be optimized in our genetic code. In the future, we might even be able to edit human genomes to remove disease risks or enhance certain traits. But for now, this achievement is already leading to exciting discoveries in fields like paleogenomics and virology. For example, scientists have found a fossil site in North Dakota filled with well-preserved relics from the impact of the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. In a twist that even M. Night Shyamalan couldn't dream up for his next mind-bending plot, scientists discovered a real-life dinosaur, Pompeii, within sedimentary rock layers. It's a mass graveyard of species that met their sudden end on the day the colossal space rock hit our planet 66 million years ago. It's mind-blowing to think we've found the semi-fossilized remains of dinosaurs who witnessed their world ending instantly. This discovery surpasses anything you'd find in Jurassic Park. Scientists have even extracted organic remains from insects and plants trapped in amber at the time of impact. They're working with actual dinosaur DNA. While Jurassic Park is just a movie, the dreams of paleogeneticists might now be possible thanks to finds like this one. The last days of the dinosaur site is a stark reminder of the immense forces that can instantly reshape life on Earth. It's a warning from prehistory to stay alert against threats from space today. Moving to the present, even the most advanced AI algorithms are tackling concepts beyond our understanding. For instance, researchers have created an artificial neural network that translates our thoughts into understandable speech in real time. It's like something out of Black Mirror. We're now living in a reality where AI can decode the signals in our brains and give voice to our unspoken thoughts. This is both fascinating and unsettling. How long can AI predict our thoughts or even manipulate our consciousness by stimulating our neurons? The possibilities are both thrilling and terrifying. Don't get confused. The assistive and therapeutic applications of this neural translation technology for those who cannot speak or are paralyzed are world-changing. But like many of these boundary breakers, there's also an undeniable potential for dystopian nightmare scenarios with these emergent technologies going too far, too fast, without wisdom or ethics to ground them. Perhaps I'm just a skeptic at heart, but paradigm shifts seem to happen faster than our brains can process. One moment we're playing Pong at the arcade, and the next, scientists are decoding the electrical signals that let us play video games. It's almost like a cosmic horror story when you think about it. We're in a time of rapid change, and the lines between fiction and reality are blurring. Things that used to be only in movies or books are now everyday scientific discoveries. Black holes? Check. Creating life in a lab? No big deal. Exploring what happens after death? Just another day at the office for scientists pushing boundaries. Who knows what surprises the next decade or century will bring as humanity ventures further into space? If these are just the beginning, what strange wonders and revelations await us next? Like this video and subscribe for more exciting videos. Also, drop your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below.